Tonight on our news, the cleanup continues. We've got the latest on that massive fuel spill over in Exuma. And a rookie mistake. Members of the labor movement sound off on that airport strike by the BPSU. And later, pinned for excellence. Meet the millennials on the move being honored by Project Bahamas. Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. I'm Christina Dragovich. Around 20,000 gallons of the estimated 35,000 gallons of diesel that spilled into Exuma's Old Navy Base Bay was removed. Officials telling our news the cleanup efforts in Exuma continuing into the early morning hours and resuming again around 5 a.m. this morning. Marlena Leonard has the details.
With cleanup efforts in Exuma continuing into the wee hours this morning, officials say the process is over 75% complete. Deputy Prime Minister Chester Cooper giving an update this morning.
Today, there is dramatic improvement over what you saw yesterday. Early this morning, I got new videos, and we are advised that 20,000 gallons have been removed into trucks and tanks and now being transported to a ship, and that ship is going to take that product back to Clifton Pier where it's going to be processed.
This latest footage from shortly after 4 p.m. this afternoon showing just how much of the spill has been cleaned up. As you can see in this footage obtained by our news, the diesel is contained to the small area on the opposite side of the cove, surrounded by containment buoys. It's a far cry from the shocking scene Catherine Booker of the Bahamas National Trust says she saw yesterday.
To see it happen right here in Elizabeth Harbor, that's so important for this community. We have tourism happening on either side of this cove, and also, like I said, a national park adjacent. It was just really shocking, but at the same time, I was really glad to see that they had moved very swiftly to contain the spill.
Meanwhile, the Deputy Prime Minister is insisting the government is taking the situation seriously.
There is an oil spill committee. They're looking into these matters. It's a live investigation. Should there be penalties? Well, if there was recklessness, my view is there should be penalties. So we'll see. We'll await the outcome of the investigation.
But the question remains. What, if any, legal action could potentially take place? Transport Minister JoBeth Colby-Davis explaining the process.
That matter would be dealt with in partnership with the Ministry of Environment and also the Office of the Attorney General. And once that's confirmed, the report, who the immediate party that's responsible for the spill, then other penalties will come, and that will be decided by Ministry of Environment, Department of Environmental Planning and Protection.
Reporting for our news, I'm Marlena Leonard.
From one beach to another, as new contracts have been issued by the Public Parks and Public Beaches Authority. The authority's executive chairman, Mikkel Bonneby, confirming the news today, but was mum when asked how many new contracts have been issued. However, he says the authority is committed to addressing unpaid contract workers who produce the proper paperwork.
We have very good news coming next week. The island has to continue to be clean. It's something that we have to continuously do. The staff, notwithstanding our best efforts, the 267 staff members that we have at the authority, we will still have to engage individuals to help in ensuring that New Providence is kept clean.
So that's yes, that new contracts has been issued.
There have been some contracts in terms of new issuance, but the whole execution of the process has not been completed as yet.
And millions of dollars in upgrades are on the way for several public parks across the island. Goodman's Bay is set to receive one of the biggest renovations. Executive Chairman of the Public Parks and Public Beaches Authority, Mikkel Bonneby, says the work is long overdue and that plans and renderings will be made public soon.
We are working with two corporate giants who are in the vicinity of Goodman's Bay, and in short order we will be coming to the public with a totally with the rendering, so they'll be able to see what that park is going to look like. We're talking about beach machines, 2 new beach machines that will traverse that beach. We're talking about a complete renovation of the parking lot, complete renovation of the green spaces out there, vendoring. It's going to be completely different.
Among the parks is a space at Saunders Beach, where Bonneby says it appears repairs may take a little longer than originally estimated.
I was told by the contractor 72 hours, which would be 3 days. Obviously, he's been here for about 3 days. I think the work is more extensive than they may have been able to notice from the surface. And so I believe maybe by the end of the week or going into next week.
No.
But we're focused on the end result. And the end result is going to be a clean, pristine, functioning equipment for all of the park goers.
In other news, a director of Elite Maintenance Company has reached a plea deal to avoid any jail time for her role in defrauding the Water and Sewage Corporation out of almost $700,000. Tanya Demerit, a 43-year-old parking lot attendant, was charged in June after an audit at the Water and Sewage Corporation flagged contracts awarded to the company. She pleaded guilty to conspiracy to commit bribery, fraud by false pretense, and conspiracy to commit fraud by false pretenses when she appeared before Senior Magistrate Carolyn Voigt Evans this afternoon. Demerit admitted to bribing Free National Movement Member of Parliament Adrian Gibson, who served as the corporation's executive chairman from 2017 to 2021, to get contracts for landscaping and painting. In total, she admitted the company conspired to defraud the corporation out of just over $699,000. As part of the plea deal, Demerit has agreed to provide evidence in criminal proceedings in the Supreme Court about her role in the offenses. She was also placed on probation for 3 years and ordered to pay $10,000 in compensation to Water and Sewage by July 29th. Demerit will be sentenced to 2 years in prison if she breaches those conditions. Meanwhile, 4 union leaders speak out against that airport sick-out on Monday, one of them calling it a rookie mistake. Our Bethany McDermott has a full report in a moment, but first, temperatures beginning to cool off this evening. Meteorologist Greg Thompson is over in the Weather Center with the latest conditions.
Thanks and welcome everybody for our first look at weather on this Thursday evening. A comfortable evening outside our studios now. Temperatures in the lower 80s, 83 degrees under partly cloudy skies. A little bit of a breeze out there, east-southeasterly wind flow at 12 miles per hour, and your feels like temperature. Very warm and humid, 88 degrees. Satellite view, all's quiet across the Bahamas. That ridge of high pressure is in firm control, but the ridge is extending just to the west of the Bahamas, so we have that turning and a couple of showers popping up across the northwest Bahamas. That's on the western periphery of that ridge. Central and southeast Bahamas, quiet, and a couple of isolated showers down there as well. But all in all, it should be a beautiful evening as this high-pressure ridge stays in place for the next day or two. That's your first look at weather. Your extended forecast is still to come.
Still to come on our news, why some trade unionists are calling this week's airport strike a rookie mistake. And the reigning Miss Bahamas Universe lashes out at the local pageant committee, why the title holder who made history last year is speaking out. Plus, meet the millennials on the move in Project Bahamas' class of 22. That's coming up when our news returns. Speaking out against that airport sick-out on Monday. One longtime unionist is calling it a rookie mistake, and others share a similar view, saying the move was too soon. Bethany McDermott has the details.
A rookie mistake was made that shouldn't have been made, and it jeopardized the workers.
That's the sentiment of Bahamas Utilities Services and Allied Workers Union President Dwayne Woods following that sick-out by BPSU members at airports across the country. On Monday, hundreds of airport staffers didn't show up to work, resulting in a backlog at the Lynden Pindling International Airport. But what's the rookie mistake Woods is referring to?
I think that the leader need to be more responsible in the way he conducts his actions.
Woods isn't alone. These unionists feel the move was a bit too soon.
Personally, me, I probably wouldn't have made the decision to engage in full-on industrial action in terms of withdrawing labor at this time. You have to still be fair to the Bahamian people and fair to the administration. But he made a decision that he probably thought would have been best.
I think it could have been more responsibly done by the president The employees only go what they are told to do by the union.
A court injunction handed down late Monday night ordered the workers back on the job on Tuesday morning. While the majority of the workers returned, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Aviation Chester Cooper said they still had a significant number of sick slips. While refraining from speaking to the issue, Union of Tertiary Educators of the Bahamas President Daniel Thompson says union leaders should always protect their members.
When I tell my members to strike or to stand up or to meet me at the waterfall, I know that I have protected their interests to ensure that their jobs are not jeopardized. And I think all union leaders ought to take the same approach.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Berthany McDermott.
And the Caribbean region has the potential to take advantage of the digital revolution and, quote, smart cities, according to Prime Minister Philip Davis, who recently made the case at the Canto Annual Conference and Trade Exhibition, enabling the digital revolution. To that end, PM Davis asked for the support of Caribbean CEOs and executives to create a different and better future for the region.
Broadband penetration in our region is only 50%. Let us commit to expanding the penetration of broadband in our region as a matter of social priority. This will assist in the true diversification of our economies, as many thousands of new good-paying jobs could be created with the deployment of affordable, reliable broadband.
Meanwhile, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Tourism Chester Cooper touring the downtown area this morning to get a first-hand view of the country's tourism product. Italia Hall reports.
Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Tourism and Aviation Chester Cooper touring the downtown area where some vendors were sharing their concerns. The tourism minister says with the country slowly coming out of the COVID-19 pandemic, he's pleased with the level of activity downtown.
We see the magnificent development of the port here at Prince George Wharf, and many of the vendors who were previously displaced and who previously had complaints about their displacement. I was pleased to see that many of them have settled in. They're making money. They're looking forward to the new port development.
Now, the Deputy Prime Minister says he is concerned about some of the vendors selling the same products, and he's asking vendors to be creative in this industry.
If we can get more deeply involved with product creation and supporting craft.
Cooper admitting that the government needs to make some additional adjustments to improve the area. And as for dilapidated buildings,
we're looking to see how we can encourage the owners of these buildings to repair them. And when we find that we're not getting the right response in terms of collaboration with individual owners, we're going to take steps that's permitted to us under the law.
The DPM says is not what he wants tourists to see when coming off of the cruise ships.
This is not an impression of who we are as Bahamians. This is not an impression of what the Bahamas is about. And unless we change it, people are going to go away thinking that the Bahamas is a crappy place.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Italia Hall.
It's now time for tonight's Financial Market Minute, brought to you by RF, your local investment bank. This has been your Financial Market Minute. To explore the best performing mutual funds in the Bahamas, visit our website at www.rfgroup.com.
When Our News comes back from the break, Miss Bahamas Universe details her struggle during her reign. The history-making title holder is speaking out.
Plus, coming up in sports for you tonight, the UB softball program taking it to new heights. We'll give you details on that. We'll also tell you about the latest from the Government Departmental Basketball Association as their season is underway. That's coming up in sports.
And later, excellence rewarded. Meet this year's class of millennials being honored by Project Bahamas. The details when Our News returns. This is our news. Welcome back. The head of the teachers union says she will await documentation about the Minister of Education's suggested introduction of CCTV in public schools. Bahamas Union of Teachers President Belinda Wilson today responding to that move designed to underscore the ministry's zero-tolerance approach to violence in schools.
Any tool that can be used to enhance safety and security on school campuses are welcome. You have to also look at what spaces are you going to place it in, because you cannot intrude and impede on someone's personal space. So that's why I said I await the documentation from the minister as to how they will implement the installation of CC television on school campuses.
Shifting gears now, the outgoing Miss Bahamas Universe lashing out at the pageant committee. The reigning title holder Chantel O'Brien made history last year when she advanced to the top 10 at Miss Universe, a first for the Bahamas. But just days before she gives up her crown, a social media post paints a different picture of her reign. Joshua Williams caught up with the head of the organization to respond.
Broken, sad, discouraging. Just a few words the reigning Miss Bahamas Universe Chantel O'Brien uses in an online post describing her current state. O'Brien sharing that her glittering reign is not all it seems. Our News questioned National Director of Miss Universe Bahamas organization Anthony Smith about her post.
Well, I can't really speak on anything pertaining to the social media simply because there's been no communication directly to us. That would be haphazard. But, I can say that as far as we are aware, when we communicated with our executive and with the Queen, through her schedule and all of the rest of that, everything as we are aware was fine.
On Thursday, this year's contestants paid a courtesy call on wife of the Prime Minister Anne-Marie Davis. O'Brien noticeably absent from the meet and greet. Smith says it was simply a scheduling conflict.
Well, I know she told us she's off the island. She did say she's going to be traveling. And of course, the event today was scheduled on Monday.
This is not the first time queens have publicly criticized this organization. 2019 title holder Terea Stirrup and her predecessor Daniel Grant both aired grievances in articles and Instagram posts. Despite the scrutiny, Smith says the experience is professionally and personally beneficial.
It's been a very, very exciting experience, very enjoyable. It's both a professional and a personal development program. So it's very intense because there's a lot of events, activities, rehearsals going on. But, thus far it's been very exciting.
This year's Miss Universe Bahamas takes place July 31st at the Atlantis Resort. Reporting for our news, I'm Joshua Williams.
Well, the University of the Bahamas building its softball program. Meanwhile, Government League basketball gets underway once again. Here's Marcellus Hall.
All right, thanks a lot. Welcome to our sports, everybody. I'm Marcellus Hall. The University of the Bahamas has really been ramping up its efforts to build their athletic program. One of those sports they're working on is the sport of softball. Their latest endeavor has them moving towards playing in the Sun Belt Conference. For more on that trip, let's take a look.
The UB Mingos women's softball team has been making great strides as they continue their quest towards becoming a member of the Sun Belt Conference in Florida. Head coach Shane Aubrey has been putting in some tremendous work trying to get his young ladies up to standard. He talked about that work and also his recruitment process moving forward.
First time playing softball in almost 2 years, and we've played against teams that are accomplished, ladies that have been playing for years. COVID didn't stop them. They continued to play. They played with travel ball.
American and back off, right?
COVID. They played through travel ball as well. So based on all the obstacles we had, I told them, we did a tremendous job, and we understand and we learned that we can compete. Not only that we were originally going with 16 players, ended up with 13.
Right.
And along the trip,
Meanwhile, players started in the Bahamas Government Departmental Basketball Association. Checking out some scores in from last night. The Enforcers, they took on the Ministry of Economic Affairs, Baines and Grantstown Cybots. Cybots getting the win here, 84-57. Stephen Miller led the way with the Cybots with 21 points. Meanwhile, the Defense Force taking on the Rampage team. Rampage gets the win here, 67-64. Otis Ferguson The Royal Bahamas Defense Force had 13 points. Lance Posey led Rampage. He had 15 on the evening.
And there it is, your look at sports for you here on this Thursday. I'm Marcellus Hall. Back to you.
Still ahead on our news, Greg is back in the Weather Center with our extended forecast, and later, breaking barriers in uncharted waters. Meet the nation-building millennials pinned for excellence. Stay with us. Welcome back to our news. Sounds like a breezy weekend may be ahead. Greg is back in the Weather Center with a look ahead.
Thanks again. Welcome back, everybody, for our second look at weather. We've been stuck in this pattern, this weather pattern, for the last week or so. Ridge-of-high pressure still dominating our weather. That's continuing to provide us with some drier air mass and some hot temperatures. Those temperatures in the low 90s, with those feels-like temperatures getting into the triple digits. That ridge continues to extend into the Gulf of Mexico, just to the west of the Bahamas. But as that ridge, the winds actually make that turn on the western periphery of that ridge, we have some showers and some isolated thunderstorms popping up across the northwest Bahamas and into the eastern Gulf of Mexico. There is a tropical wave that's moving near the Puerto Rico area that should get in our area sometime by the end of the weekend, and we should see some increase in some shower activity as well as the system continues to push towards the west. The remainder of the tropics very quiet, but we do expect some Saharan dust that's still out there in the open Atlantic to get in our area or our neck of the woods by the end of the week and into next week. So we're looking for some hazy and hot conditions continuing through then. Boating forecast for the northwest Bahamas tonight through tomorrow. Your winds will be out of the east to southeast at 10 to 15 knots. Seas running 2 to 4 feet over the ocean. Your low tide will be at 9:49 tonight. For the central and southeast Bahamas, a little breezy down there. East to southeasterly wind flow at 15 to 20 knots, pardon me. Those winds will be gusting higher at times, and your seas will be running 4 to 7 feet over open waters. Here's a look now at your national forecast. In your 7-day forecast, isolated showers throughout the rest of the week and into the weekend as a couple of small undulations or disturbances in the low level move into our area. Then we expect that tropical wave to get near sometime by the end of the week into next week. Some increase in shower activity, but those hot temperatures will remain with us throughout the forecast period. That's a look at our weather. Make it a safe evening, everybody.
Well, some 49 Generation Xers and 49 Millennials were honored last night for their contributions to nation building. A cross-section of industry leaders, as well as those breaking barriers in uncharted waters, were officially recognized and pinned. Megan Shepard reports.
What began as a small initiative expanded into a project honoring more influential people in the community. That's according to founder of Project Bahamas, Stephen Sands, who says the project is 5 years in the making.
The honorees are persons who would have contributed to the lives of the millennials throughout the course of the year.
He says millennials were first nominated by their peers and family members.
Based on their impact on the community, their philanthropic efforts, their academic achievements, or the fact that they've put the Bahamas on the map is how they're chosen.
Founder of 242 Jobs, Aeropost and Wise, Donovan Powell, was selected as a millennial honoree. He says he is grateful for the recognition.
It's very honored to be a part of the nominees tonight. Being a millennial, I really encourage more Bahamians to be able to kind of be out there and showcase themselves and their talent.
Bahamian artist Lavardo Sands, also known as Shine 242, also expressing his gratitude for the recognition.
We're trying to change the feel and change the vibe of Reagan Street for the younger folks, you know. So that's my goal, bridging the gap.
There will also be a medal recognition ceremony to be held in August. Reporting for our news, I'm Megan Shepard.
Thanks, Megan, and thank you for joining us for our news tonight. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Christina Dragovich. A brand new episode of On the Record starts right now.